Let's talk a little bit more about fast type of breathing exercises. And even though you probably already had some information around fast breathing techniques within this program, I still would like you to watch this video because this is actually quite an important video for you to understand fast type of breathing techniques a little bit better so that you can practice them in the safest way possible and to have the best outcomes. Because fast type of breathing exercises are among the trickiest exercises in the breathing world. These are the exercises where many people do mistakes and can actually even hurt their bodies instead of helping it. But at the same time, these breathing exercises are a great tool that you can use, especially in developing your stress resistance. So, when you speed up your breathing and breathe faster and deeper, or you can call it shallower, you actually activate stress response inside of your body. You are pushing your body towards the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight and flight response of your body. It's a really similar process that happens to your body when you work out or doing sports. During physical activities, your body would shift towards the stress response, towards the activation of the sympathetic nervous system, which can be extremely beneficial and healthy for you, unless you pushed your body too much and started to hurt yourself. So, fast breathing is actually a stressor for your body. And when your body deals with any type of stressors, it goes through the adaptation. You have two types of adaptations: short-term adaptation and long-term adaptation. Short-term adaptation is really uncomfortable, especially if you are facing a new stressor for your body. In these moments, your brain is extremely careful and might overreact on the situation just in case to keep you safe. So, during short-term adaptation, you experience this strong spike of stress hormones, and this is the reason why you feel extremely uncomfortable, both physically and emotionally. Usually, short-term adaptation is actually happening really fast. It would last from a few seconds to a few minutes. And you probably already could experience it during our practices. Just remember yourself when you start to breathe faster and deeper, and remember how you feel in these first seconds and maybe a few minutes. It feels extremely hard to push through these few minutes, and you might even get some thoughts that, why am I doing it? Is it actually good for my body? You have this slight anxiety. It feels physically extremely heavy on your body, but then once you push through this short adaptation, you actually feel much better. What is actually interesting here is that our life challenges works exactly the same way. When you face the new challenge in your life, at first it feels so hard. It feels like almost impossible. But then once you pushed a little bit further, then you would feel much better and you would feel like, oh, actually it's not that bad. I probably can manage it. So next time you have a new life situation, a new challenge, or are doing some new activities, just remember that you for sure would go through the short-term adaptation, and this is a really hard moment to push through. But once you push it, you're actually going to the next level of your development. So let's look in a little bit more details what actually happens inside of your body when you go through the short-term adaptation. Your brain receives new, potentially dangerous situation, and it starts to act pretty fast, just in case. Your brain straight away signals your autonomic nervous system to activate the stress response inside of your body. And your autonomic nervous system sends the signal to all the organs that are necessary for this stress response, and then you have this spike of stress hormones. After it was done, your autonomic nervous system collects this new information about the adaptation of your body to these new circumstances and send this information back to your brain. Once your brain received this feedback about how did your body acted during this stress situation, it potentially would adjust his commands and maybe redirect your autonomic nervous system to change something. This is exactly the moment when your short-term adaptation is over and your brain moves to the next stage of actually analyzing the stressful situation in a little bit more details and adjusting its commands. And most likely what would happen is that it will adjust your stress hormones and decrease it a little bit. Because the long-term adaptation has a completely different goal for your body. So basically, this feedback loop will continue during your long-term adaptation. Your brain, autonomic nervous system, and the body would always communicate between each other. And if stress persists, then your body will need to go through the long-term adaptation. At this point, your body's goal is to adjust the stress level till the necessary level that at the same time will preserve your resources as much as possible so that you would be able to go through this stressful situation for as long as needed. Usually in this long-term adaptation, physiologically wise, what happens is that your body redirects the blood from unnecessary parts to really vital organs inside of your body. So the unnecessary parts are your limbs, and really important organs inside of your body is your heart, your brain, and other things that are located in the central areas of your body. This is the reason why during the fast type of breathing techniques, you experience a lot of vibrations, tingling, and maybe even numbing in your limbs, because your body redirects the blood towards the middle part of your body. So it's totally normal if you feel these vibrations, and don't be afraid if you even get these numbing hands, numbing feet, and sometimes numbing lips. It might feel extremely scary at the moment, but once you will be done with fast breathing, your body will almost instantly go back to its normal state. So just remember, this is a normal reaction. It is also really normal to feel lightheaded or even dizzy during the fast type of breathing exercises, because when you breathe faster, you exhale much more carbon dioxide than you usually do, and because of that, your vessels constrict and your blood goes to your brain much slower. Because of this lack of blood flow in your brain, you feel a little bit lightheaded and maybe dizzy. If these sensations are really strong, then it is better to slow down your breathing or even stop and rest. But if you can manage them, then continue. You're doing good. This is just a long-term adaptation of your body to this stressor that you're dealing with right now. Basically, you need to be really aware of where it is a mental discomfort and where it is physical pain. Through the mental discomfort we are trying to go through, but we never push through the physical pain. Some people might also experience headache while doing the fast type of breathing exercises and shortly after that. Don't be afraid of it. Usually it will be gone in 5 to 15 minutes. So during long-term adaptation, your stress hormones are much lower. This is why it's quite easier to handle it. But what is really important here is that you don't push your body too far into this stress, because if you do so, then you will reach exhaustion stage. This basically means that you use so much resources from your body that your body goes to the exhaustion. This is the reason why prolonged stress, chronic stress, is extremely bad for your body. This is when you might start to have health issues, because this prolonged stress will use so much from your body that you will have some problems with your immune system, you will feel much weaker, you might develop some cardiovascular diseases and have some mental problems such as anxiety or depression. So we want to expose our bodies to stress, but in a really limited levels. We don't want to stay under stress for prolonged periods of time when we are actually reaching this exhaustion stage. And there were a few studies done that showed that stress is indirect reason for 99% of illnesses. So this applies to the fast type of breathing exercises. We want to use this type of breathing techniques, but we don't want to push our bodies too far into this exhaustion stage, because fast type of breathing exercises are stressors. To achieve this balance, we actually need to rely on 3 really important elements. So first, we need to look at your background. How often you were exposed to stressors before. For example, for athletes who are often dealing with stressors on their bodies, they can go into this type of trainings much faster and in bigger quantities. But for those people who actually not really used to this type of practices and do not expose themselves to this type of stress that often, we need to take it much slower and in much smaller quantities. So always look at your background. The second thing to check is to understand if it's a new stressor for your body or not really. When it's a new activity for your body, then we should start much slower. We shouldn't go into exposing you to this type of activity a lot and straight away. So we don't want to begin our breathwork practice with, let's say, the Wim Hof method, because it's a quite intense practice for your bodies. We also for sure don't want to put beginners through the rebirthing breathing or holotropic breathing. But if we have a person who already had quite some background in breathwork practices, then we can move on into this type of fast breathing exercises much faster and expose them to these exercises much faster. You also probably paid attention that when you have a new activity in your life, you need to take it slow. But once you already done it for multiple times, then this adaptation goes really fast and you can do these things much more and much easier. You might even felt it during our practices of this week. Just remember your feelings when you go through the first round of fast breathing and compare these feelings to the second and third round of this fast breathing. Usually the second and third one, it is much easier than the first one. And the third important element to check with is to understand what state are you starting from when you are exposing yourself to stressors. If you already pushed your body towards the exhaustion stage because of, let's say, some life situations and you were stressed for quite a while, and this prolonged stress brought you into having anxiety or having depressive state or other kind of health issues, maybe problems with cardiovascular system, then you need to be really careful in adding fast type of breathing exercises into your practice. Your initial starting point is a little bit already kind of sensitive. So you might benefit from exposing your body to stressors, but you need to do it extremely careful so that you don't push your body to this exhaustion even more. And for some people, we might not use stressors type of training at all because they are not gonna be good for them. So this is basically the three main things to follow and check with when you are deciding about either you should practice fast type of breathing exercises or not. I really hope that this was clear for you because I really don't want you to do these mistakes that many people do in the breathing world. For the future, also keep in mind that usually the core of your breathwork practice should be around working on your breathing mechanics and breathing biochemistry. So 80% of the time when you're doing breathwork, spend on your breathing mechanics and breathing biochemistry. And then 20% of your breathwork practice, you can do some exercises that will expose you to stress. So, for example, fast type of breathing exercises. And this will improve your stress resilience and make you much stronger, and your nervous system will be much more adaptive to the environment around you. See you in the practices.